I'm Rehan Dewar. I'm a resident of Virginia in the U.S. here. My background, although has been mostly spent in the area of banking and investment banking and finance sector, I've also about 10 years ago started the first Islamic finance company as one of the founders here in the U.S. And based on Sharia compliancy. And over the last 6-7 years, I've actually focused a lot on a movement that I believe is to raise the human consciousness, which I believe is the #1 reason why most people are having much difficulty with themselves as well as with their surrounding and society and on global level, that kind of tension and problems that we're seeing. I believe has a lot directly to do with the fact that the human beings are living at a low level of consciousness and searching for clarity in life, I believe, begins by trying to understand what the Creator Himself has prescribed for His creation and the method by which it should live. For an inventor is the one who can write the manual for his invention. Therefore, the Creator has the manual for His creation. So I began to spend quite a bit of time over the last 8 years or so, took 2 years off to simply try to learn and understand and seek knowledge in areas that I personally didn't have at a degree that I felt comfortable. And over the last 8 years, my journey has continued in this process, and up until last Ramadan, that I was, I would say, very blessed to have discovered Maulana's Quran that was brought to us by a friend of ours who had just come from India and extremely enlightened by the Quran and his work, and that she had brought copies for us to meet. It was completely unplanned, unexpected. And she gave that book to my wife, who then gave it to me. And in the last 10 days of Ramadan, I began to look at it. For whatever reason, my heart called to it. I opened it, and I remember it was after Suhr, as I had taken 10 days off to do nothing but just simply do a focus on ibadah, that I read the first 3 pages, and I became very emotional. I could not put it down. But I had to put it down because I became very emotional and I began to reflect. It was in simple English, it was in simple translation, and it was very, very logically placed. And for me, I am a very practical and logical person, and I look at things from a very much of a critical analysis perspective. And so I began to continue reading it. I will say I have not finished reading it completely because what I have done is I have said I will no longer read this Quran, I will study this Quran. So as a result, my objective has been that every day I am reading one verse of the Arabic, which then is the translation, and then his interpretation, and I'm studying it, and therefore I am writing many notes. I have my own journal in which I'm reflecting to really understand it. So I'm moving through it very slowly because I'm no longer seeking to finish it, but I'm seeking to understand the knowledge. So alhamdulillah, I find that this book has been, his translation of the Quran has been very beneficial to me. I wanted to spend some time with him, and I was blessed that I had a chance to actually meet him here as well. So I haven't had a chance to talk about it as much as I am today. So this is my first, I would say, verbalization of how I'm feeling about the Quran. So I hope that has been accurate to how I feel.
So have you read any other of Maulana's books except the Quran translation?
No, I have heard that he has other books and different topics. So today I've picked up 2 additional books that he mentioned during his talk. And I've also been given a list that I can look at to begin to explore further. My own work is my own personal life mission that I have defined recently through my nonprofit effort, is to continuously seek to understand and evolve the humans through a intellectual and elevation of the consciousness to understand that we all human beings are seeking one thing and only one thing, as far as in this material life, is happiness. And that happiness has a central GPS for every human being, I believe. And how we go about seeking that is often differed based on societies and various social impressions that have been created on people that says it's either right or wrong. But I believe truly that at the end of the day, the peace lies within the heart. And so my personal work is directly related to this. I'm going to seek more knowledge, inshallah, from his books that I'm just now discovering. And I believe that everything happens for a good reason. And his book coming to me is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I believe, personally, based on everything that I have read so far. And I'm only in Surah Baqarah at middle way so far, by the way, and it's been taking me, a month and a half in the slow process of studying that I'm doing. So the first thing is that to slow myself down and not to rush, but to seek. The word is seek, to understand, seek to reflect, and seek to not look for something that I can label right or wrong, but to seek to understand the rationale behind why. Why are things the way they are? So for me, I'm actually very excited in many ways, and eager rather to hopefully begin to read his other books. If that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in his purpose for me, then I will succeed, inshallah, if he wants me to, inshallah. So what would I give as an advice to someone who is internally conflicted and perhaps not at peace and perhaps may even think negatively about dealing with situations around them, either on a personal level or on a beyond the self into society or global level? My answer would be a very simple one, which again is to understand that the frictions that they feel or tension that they feel as individuals or society are coming because they themselves have not understood that it is through love and it is through peace that we actually create harmony. And the opposite of harmony is what we're seeing today. And that only happens when we are not thinking through peace, through love, love for self, love for the other. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves all of His creation. And it is for this mercy that He provided us guidance from the time of Adam alayhi salam all the way to the last of the messengers of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I would give them a simple message that put down your arms and do a self-check of your own consciousness. That do you truly believe that by utilizing negative words or negative physical actions or actions that actually create destruction of another life, does that really create harmony in your heart? Can you really go to bed at night individually and say, I have done something today that has created a construction in this world? Or would you say that I've created a destruction in this world? And if the answer is the latter, then you know that you're not part of peace. No matter what you believe in your own mind that you must do, if it's not a constructive act to build the humanity around you, then it will lead to destruction.
Coming back to the Quran, Maulana's Quran, we shared downstairs when we were talking about it, that you share this Quran with other people who have different faith. What is their response to this Quran?
So, to be honest with you, since I am just discovering this Quran myself and I'm studying it from a perspective I described earlier, I have not had the opportunity to share this Quran itself with as many non-Muslims. But I will say this to you, that many of the people who are, let's say today, wouldn't call themselves Muslims, but deep down inside, these are people who are seeking the truth. So I have had a chance to share with them some of my learnings that I'm finding from this Quran, which has engaged them into a dialogue with me further and deeper than I was able to in the past. So I will say my own reading of it and sharing some of the excerpts with those who I'm having conversations with on a very much non-conversion level, but more from a conscious raising level, they're finding that my tone or my approach to describing things is very appealing. So I think this Quran has had, in a short term, positive impact. Well, I would say that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the Maulana and all those around him true blessings for the work they've already done. And of course that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him health and longevity in maintaining the centrality of the devotion that He's created by His own examples. And I truly pray that those who are around Him, at least one or two or three, may inherit the true, genuine depth that He carries, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them with it, so that we do not have what history has always seen, that the work of that genuine, pure soul often starts to dissipate because the people around him, perhaps not enough, were carrying the same degree of mission to be selfless and truly pursue in complete selflessness the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and let not be beguiled by any of the worldly distractions that come in the form of shuhrat or popularity, and perhaps the acclamation of sense of feeling that they have succeeded in the material world through material acclamations or through popularity, as the things I talked about, because these are truly the weaknesses of the human creature. And Iblis himself knows this very well, and so he brings these things and lures humans to this direction. So my only thing I would wish, and I would pray for, that the Maulana's health, and of course we know the nature of human, that we will not live forever, that for whatever long it continues, that it penetrates the hearts around him to its purest of the purest purity of those hearts, and that it may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless another human being around him who either is very close or has read this somewhere in the world, to then raise the light if they are the chosen one from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do so. So that I would, from the hearts of my hearts, wish for. Wallahu ghalibun ala amri walakinna akthara an-nasi la ya'lamun. And I hope that I personally would get a chance to sit with him and study with him, even if for a few days, because I have many questions that I would like to gain his insights and reflection to, inshallah.